Welcome back, coin lovers and history hunters. Sparkles. Today, we're diving into one of the most iconic and overlooked treasures in American coinage, the Jefferson Nickel 5-cent coin. At first glance, it may look like an ordinary pocket change coin, but don't be fooled. This small 5-cent piece carries decades of history, mystery, and hidden value that many people spend without a second thought. From rare mint marks to wartime metal compositions, the Jefferson Nickel has stories that can surprise even seasoned collectors. First introduced in 1938, this coin honors Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States and the author of the Declaration of Independence. On the reverse side stands Monticello, Jefferson's historic home, a symbol of American legacy struck into metal for generations. Let's dive deep into the 1969 Jefferson Nickel, a coin that has captured the imagination of collectors, investors, and dreamers alike. Before we begin, it's important to clarify something. There's no authentic 1969 Jefferson Nickel made of silver in regular U.S. mint production. The standard Jefferson Nickels from this year were struck in a copper-nickel-clad composition, not silver. However, the allure of rare varieties, errors, and collectible versions has created myths of million-dollar nickels, and that's where the real story gets fascinating. The Jefferson Nickel, introduced in 1938, replaced the Buffalo nickel and quickly became one of America's most familiar small coins. By 1969, designs featured Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello on the reverse. Simple, elegant, and enduring. Millions of these coins were struck at the Philadelphia, no mint mark, and San Francisco, mint mark S facilities. Under normal circumstances, these coins are common pocket change. But in the world of numismatics coin collecting, rarity and uniqueness are worth far more than face value. Now, here's where the magic begins. Among the millions of 1969 nickels produced, a tiny number exhibit striking anomalies. Double die errors, die cracks, off-center strikes, and other minting curiosities. These anomalies occur when the die, the tool that stamps the design onto the blank planchet, shifts, cracks, or doubles during manufacturing. To the untrained eye, a normal nickel isn't worth more than 5 cents. To a collector hunting rare mint errors, that same piece can be a hidden treasure. One of the most talked about varieties, especially among collectors passionate about Jefferson Nickels, is the 1969 S double die obverse DDO. On this variety, the letters and numbers on the front of the coin appear doubled or echoed. This doubling isn't part of the standard design. It's an error that occurred during die preparation. When authenticated and graded by a professional grading service, a high-grade example of this DDO variety can command significant collector interest, sometimes reaching impressive price levels. But let's temper the excitement with reality. Even the rare 1969 S double die nickels, while valuable relative to face value, generally do not sell for millions of dollars. A verified, high-grade example can fetch thousands, substantial but not enough to make someone an overnight billionaire. Yet, in the realm of numismatics, the value exists because serious collectors seek these pieces and are willing to pay a premium for true rarities in excellent condition. Importantly, value skyrockets when a coin is authenticated and graded by reputable services like PCGS or NGC. These organizations assess condition on a scale from 1 to 70, with anything in the 60s considered mint state, virtually flawless. A 1969 S double die in perfect condition doesn't just show an error, it's preserved beautifully. That combination of rarity and pristine condition is what drives the prices that make headlines among collectors. But let's explore emotion beyond numbers. Imagine holding a coin that, unlike millions of others, tells a story of a minute mechanical hiccup in the mint long ago. That tiny doubling, perhaps unseen until a collector's loupe magnified it, transforms a coin into a 501st century time capsule, a physical mystery that tickles curiosity and sparks competition at auctions. Mythology sometimes blossom around these coins. Tales of rare silver varieties, secret mint batches, and accidental treasures hidden in pocket change. And while no official records confirm genuine silver issues for the 1969 Jefferson Nickel series, the dreams those stories inspire are real. People open wallets, search old collections, and dive into dusty coin boxes, all with the spark of possibility that history might be hiding value, just waiting to be uncovered. For those who truly believe they might possess a rare piece, the next step is verification. Not spending it at a low price because it might be valuable, but having it professionally assessed. A piece that's merely worn and ordinary remains ordinary. A genuine mint error in high grade? That's where the numismatic world sits up and takes notice. So, while it's unlikely that any 1969 Jefferson Nickel, clad composition or otherwise, will make someone a billionaire overnight, there are genuinely rare and collectible varieties that can be worth far more than face value. In the passionate and unpredictable world of coin collecting, stories of unbelievable finds have been written before, and who's to say what new marvel could be uncovered next? Let the search continue, and if you happen to find something extraordinary, you'll know it's worth more than just 5 cents. Let's dive into this with clarity, excitement, and honesty, because there's a lot of myth mixed with reality when it comes to coins like the 1981 Jefferson Nickel. I'll give you a rich, engaging breakdown in 10 paragraphs, just as you asked. But first, let's clear something important. A 1981 Jefferson Nickel, whether from the Philadelphia P or San Francisco S mint, is not made of silver, and under normal circumstances, none of these coins are worth millions or billions of dollars. That idea makes for a great legend, but it's not grounded in how coin collecting works. In fact, the 1981 Jefferson Nickel was struck in copper nickel, a standard metal mix used for everyday circulation. Unlike silver coins from earlier eras, like Morgan or peace dollars, Jefferson nickels from the late 20th century are common circulation coins. Millions were made, so most people have seen them, spent them, or saved them without thinking twice. They weren't intended to hold precious metal value, and that means their inherent metal content isn't valuable like gold, silver, or platinum. But here's where the story gets interesting. Within any large group of coins, rare errors or unusual productions sometimes pop up. These can include misstrikes, double dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and other minting anomalies. Among collectors, such error coins can be more valuable than their face value. Sometimes much more. For a Jefferson Nickel, a dramatic error could make the coin worth tens, hundreds, or even a few $1,000s to the right buyer. However, nothing from 1981 has been verified as a $1 million coin. If someone tells you their 1981 nickel will make you a billionaire overnight, that's almost certainly a story, not a factual appraisal. For a coin to be that valuable, it would have to be historically unique, impossibly rare, and verified by top grading services like PCGS or NGC with a grade near perfect. For 1981 nickels, no such singular superstar exists in the certified coin world that commands such astronomical prices. Let's talk about condition, the heart of coin value. The best Jefferson nickels are those that have never circulated. No scratches, no wear, no discoloration. Collectors call these mint state coins. A mint state 1981 nickel that's graded MS 67 or higher is nice and sellable for collectors, but even then, the market doesn't show values in the millions. Most high-grade examples sell for more than face value, not tens of thousands and certainly not millions. The proof coins from the San Francisco Mint, those with an S mint mark, were struck with extra care for collectors and often have a mirror-like finish. Those are generally more desirable than standard circulation coins. But again, we aren't seeing outlandish $1 million values for 1981 proofs. Proof nickels tend to be collectible, yes, but their premium is modest relative to genuine rarities from long ago. So where do rare coins really earn big money? Look to early American issues gold coins or legendary era coins where only a handful are known in existence. Even then, coins that sell for millions usually come from the 1800s or early 1900s, not something from the 1980s. That's almost modern history in the coin world. Think of it like baseball cards. A 1981 rookie card might be neat, but it doesn't compare to a 1909 Honus Wagner. If someone hands you a 1981 nickel and claims it's worth an unimaginable fortune, the smart first step is to get it professionally evaluated by a reputable coin grading company. These groups will tell you if your coin is ordinary, collectible, or truly unusual, and the grade they assign directly influences its market value. Without that verification, even you thinking it feels rare isn't enough to command big buyer interest. That said, the world of coins is magical in its own way. Holding a piece of history, understanding the craft of minting, and learning how tiny differences can create collector interest, these are all exciting parts of coin collecting. Even if your 1981 nickel isn't a multi-million-dollar treasure, it's still a link to a moment in time and can spark a passion for numismatics. In the end, here's the bottom line. A standard 1981 Jefferson nickel, whether from the Philadelphia or San Francisco Mint, is not silver and is not worth millions or billions in today's market. Some error coins can command higher prices, but even the most dramatic known specimens do not reach the mythical values people sometimes mention. If you want real value and recognition for a coin, rely on expert grading and honest market pricing, not stories. So keep exploring, keep asking questions, and if you do think you have something unusual, take it to a reputable dealer or grading service. In the world of coins, truth is always more fascinating than the myth, and who knows, your piece of metal may still have a great story to tell. The year 1964 holds a legendary place in American coin history, and the Jefferson nickel from this year has become one of the most talked about 5-cent coins ever struck. Millions of people unknowingly carry or store these coins, never realizing that certain rare examples have sparked intense excitement among elite collectors. The 1964 Jefferson nickel represents the end of an era, a moment when America was transitioning economically and culturally, and that historical weight alone makes this coin emotionally powerful in the numismatic world. When people hear stories of hidden treasure and pocket change, this coin often becomes the center of those conversations. What makes the 1964 Jefferson nickel from the Philadelphia, no mint mark, and San Francisco, S mint mark, so fascinating is not ordinary circulation value, but the extraordinary anomalies that exist within a very small number of surviving examples. These coins were produced in massive quantities, yet only a microscopic fraction escaped the minting process with rare characteristics that transform them from a simple 5-cent piece into a collector's obsession. It is these rare survivors that fuel the whispers of life-changing wealth. Despite popular rumors, the 1964 Jefferson nickel is not a silver coin by standard composition. Yet this fact does not weaken its potential power. Instead, it increases the mystery. A handful of coins exhibit unusual weight, surface texture, strike depth, and metallic behavior that suggest experimental or transitional anomalies. Coins that should not exist according to normal mint logic are the very ones that shatter price expectations, because collectors pay not for metal alone, but for impossibility. Some 1964 Jefferson nickels appear with extra sharp details, mirrored surfaces, or doubled elements so dramatic they look unreal to the naked eye. Others display off-metal characteristics, incorrect planchets, or die errors that defy routine mint standards. When such features align perfectly with high preservation, the value does not increase slowly, it explodes. These coins are not priced like normal collectibles. They are negotiated privately, fiercely, and often away from public price guides. The Philadelphia and San Francisco mint strikes are especially important because they represent different production environments. Coins from these mints can show radically different personalities, and when a rare error or exceptional strike quality emerges from either location, it becomes instantly desirable. Collectors do not compete calmly for such coins. They battle, and in that battlefield, numbers lose meaning because ownership becomes the ultimate victory. Stories of million-dollar nickels are not fairy tales born from nothing. They are born from extreme rarity plus elite demand. When fewer than a handful of confirmed specimens exist worldwide, value is no longer determined by face value or even metal content. It is determined by prestige, legacy, and the hunger of collectors who already own everything else. In those moments, a 5-cent coin can carry the weight of a fortune. However, this is where wisdom becomes essential. Not every 1964 Jefferson nickel is powerful, and not every shiny coin is special. The real danger is selling a potentially rare coin cheaply out of impatience or ignorance. History is filled with tragic stories of coins sold for small amounts, only to resurface years later at auction for sums that could have changed generations. Once a rare coin leaves your hands, destiny cannot be reclaimed. A true high-value 1964 Jefferson nickel must be studied, preserved, and respected. Cleaning, polishing, or altering can destroy its power instantly. The surface, the weight, the strike, and even microscopic imperfections are part of its identity. To a trained collector, these details speak louder than gold. One careless decision can turn a sleeping giant into nothing more than pocket change. What gives this coin its myth-like status is not guaranteed wealth, but potential, the most dangerous and exciting word in collecting. The possibility that a forgotten coin could unlock a future is what keeps people searching drawers, jars, and inherited collections. That possibility is rare, but when it is real, it is overwhelming. A single verified anomaly can rewrite a family's financial story overnight. So if you hold a 1964 Jefferson Nickel, do not rush, do not assume, and do not dismiss it. Most are ordinary, yes, but the extraordinary ones exist, and they hide in silence. Fortune does not announce itself loudly. It waits patiently for the person wise enough to recognize it. And sometimes, destiny chooses the smallest coin to deliver the biggest surprise. If you want, I can now. Rewrite this in YouTube viral storytelling style, make it more dramatic or more realistic, adapt it for voiceover narration, or create a warning plus hype combo script that keeps viewers hooked. Imagine holding a coin so rare, so mystifying, that every serious collector would trade a small fortune for it. A nickel that doesn't behave like a coin, that practically hums with history when you let it roll through your fingers. Most Jefferson nickels from 1998, whether minted in Philadelphia, P, or San Francisco, S, are ordinary in metal and common in circulation. They're clad copper nickel, not silver. Yet legends whisper of an extraordinary anomaly, a misstrike or experimental planchet that should never have existed. And if one is genuine, its worth could rival gold. It could make billionaires stop and stare, and the owner could literally become wealthy beyond imagination. Picture this. A 1998 Jefferson nickel, but instead of the expected copper-nickel alloy, it struck on a silver planchet, left over from experimental dies or a mint test that slipped through bureaucratic cracks. In the coin world, such deviations are like shooting stars, almost never seen, impossible to replicate, and instantly whispered about in hushed tones among the most elite numismatists. You might think it's fiction, but in coin history, the impossible sometimes happens. Now imagine that this hypothetical silver 1998 nickel came from either the P Philadelphia Mint or the S San Francisco proof set. Proof coins are already highly finished and desirable due to their mirror-like sheen and struck sharply with extra care. If one of these proof coins somehow accidentally was struck on silver, whether .900 fine or some other high-precious metal, it would instantly become one of the most spectacular rarities in American coinage. No collector would blink at paying six figures. Institutions might bid seven figures. And whispers of potential $1 million plus halo value would spread like wildfire. Think of the power of rarity. There are only a handful of known major mint errors in U.S. coins that command astronomical sums. The 1943 copper penny, the $1,804 or the 1913 Liberty head nickel. A silver 1998 Jefferson would join those tiers not because someone decided it should, but because the laws of supply and demand leave no alternative. If only one exists, or even just a tiny handful, the bidding wars will be fierce and unrelenting. But here's the twist, and the reason this tale is so compelling. Most collectors don't even know to look for such an anomaly. They see 1998, and they instinctively toss it into a pocket or album like any everyday nickel. Meanwhile, that unassuming coin could carry a metallic secret worth a fortune. It's the kind of thing that turns casual collectors into obsessed treasure hunters overnight. Hold on to the scenario. You find such an odd-looking 1998 nickel in your change, or in a long-forgotten drawer. Something about its color or weight feels off. You take it to a dealer. They stare. Then they take a breath. You might hear words like planchet error, test strike, pattern, or in hushed, reverent tones, one of the most astonishing rarities we've ever encountered. That's the moment fortunes flip, dreams ignite, and history is made. People who chase rare coins don't chase common pieces. They chase stories, mysteries, and outliers. Something out of place. A minting accident that the Philadelphia or San Francisco Mint could never have intended but somehow let slip. A silver 1998 nickel will be the kind of anomaly that fills auction houses with screaming bids, magazine covers with glossy photos, and investment funds with numismatic portfolios that outshine real estate. But beyond the money, the real magic lies in the story itself. Coins are frozen moments of history. A Jefferson nickel captures the spirit of Thomas Jefferson, minted in the closing years of the 20th century, a time of global change, economic optimism, and the dawn of the digital age. If one of these coins were silver instead of clad, it would be a symbol of a minting era that defied expectations, a physical whisper from the past reminding us that rarity still exists in a world where we think everything has been discovered. And that is why, if you believe in this story, if you feel the thrill of possibility and the pulse of potential fortune, you must treat any unusual 1998 nickel with respect, curiosity, and expert scrutiny. Don't spend it for 5 cents. Don't tuck it away without verification. Send it to a reputable coin grading service. Let the experts weigh, analyze, and authenticate it. Because if, and it's a big if, it turns out to be the mythical silver variant or some other extreme rarity, you wouldn't just have a valuable coin. You'd have a piece of legend. In the end, the true treasure isn't the metal. It's the thrill of discovery, the mystery of the unknown, and the tantalizing possibility that one ordinary coin, lost in couch cushions, forgotten in a jar, or tucked into a box years ago, could be the one that changes everything. Keep your eyes open. Treasures often lurk where we least expect them. If you've ever held a 1993 Jefferson nickel, whether it was found in loose change, tucked away in a dusty drawer, or slipped into an old coin album, you've experienced a tiny piece of American history. To the average person, it's just a 5-cent coin. But to collectors and enthusiasts around the world, every coin tells a story. Some common, some rare, and a very few so unusual, they ignite imaginations and dreams of overnight fortune. Let's talk about what makes a 1993 Jefferson nickel so fascinating, what myths have grown around it, and what kind of versions could actually be worth something extraordinary. First, let's clear up a big misunderstanding that floats around in coin collecting circles. 1,993 Jefferson nickels are not made of silver. Unlike the wartime nickels of 1942 to 1945 that famously contained 35% silver, Jefferson nickels minted long after 1945 are composed of a copper-nickel blend. So if someone tells you a normal 1993 nickel is a silver coin worth millions, that's simply not true. It's a myth that is spread because people want to believe that a common piece of pocket change could make them wealthy overnight. But here's where the story gets interesting. Not all coins are created equal. The United States Mint produces millions of coins every year at different facilities. In 1993, nickels were minted at Philadelphia, P, and San Francisco, S. And while most are ordinary, everyday pieces of currency, a tiny fraction can include errors, varieties, or exceptional minting characteristics that make them significantly more valuable to collectors. Imagine this. A coin comes off the minting press slightly askew, causing part of the design to appear doubled, distorted, or missing entirely. These mistakes are called errors, and because they are rare and unique, serious collectors will pay big money for them. Sometimes thousands, tens of thousands, or in extremely rare documented cases, even more. Because only a handful of these error coins ever make it into circulation, discovering one can feel like finding buried treasure. Now imagine that error occur on a coin that is unusual in another way. Maybe a misplaced mint mark, a die crack so severe it creates a new pattern on the surface, or a striking anomaly that's so visually dramatic it captivates collectors' attention worldwide. Those kinds of nickels don't just sit in albums. They become famous among numismatists and can command prices far above face value. But here's the critical distinction. While a dramatic error coin can be valuable, the chances that an ordinary 1993 Jefferson nickel will be worth millions or make someone a billionaire overnight are virtually zero. The coins you and I handle every day are the same ones millions of people have, and most carry only face value. What separates the extraordinary from the ordinary is not the date alone, but the condition and rarity of a particular coin. Condition matters immensely. In coin collecting, a coin's grade, its physical state of preservation, can make all the difference between a piece worth 5 cents and a piece worth thousands. A nickel that has never been touched blemish-free, with sharp details and lustrous metal, might get a mint state grade from professional grading services. Those pristine pieces are always in higher demand because they look as close as possible to the moment they left the mint. Collectors also obsess over varieties. Subtle design differences created when new dyes are introduced or errors are repeated over short runs. Some varieties are so rare that only a handful are known to exist. Discovering or owning one of these is like holding a secret that few others know. And yes, some collectors are willing to pay serious money to own them. Now, let's talk about market perception versus reality. Stories about coins that can change your life overnight often spread through social media and speculation rather than market truth. In the real world, even very rare error coins have prices set by actual transactions. Coins have been sold at auction, graded by professionals, and compared with known examples. When a genuinely rare coin changes hands, the price is recorded and becomes part of the historical record. There is no verified case of a 1993 Jefferson Nickel from Philadelphia or San Francisco selling for millions that would make someone a billionaire overnight. But that doesn't mean they can't be valuable. A verified dramatic error, especially one authenticated by respected grading services, could be worth hundreds or thousands of dollars, possibly more if it captures the attention of elite collectors. That's the real magic of coin collecting. The excitement of possibility balanced with the discipline of authentication and grading. So if you do have a 1993 Jefferson Nickel that looks unusual, tarnished, oddly shaped, or dramatically different from the others in your pocket, don't spend it carelessly. Take time to examine it. Compare it with known examples, and if you suspect something rare, consider having it professionally graded. Who knows? You might have stumbled onto something that's worth far more than 5 cents. In the end, the value of a coin isn't just in its metal or its date. It's in the story it carries and the rarity it represents. Some coins are ordinary, others are extraordinary. And every collector's journey begins with curiosity and the thrill of discovery. If you like, I can help you identify whether your specific coin might be one of those rare error pieces and walk you through how to get it authenticated and graded. Just send a clear picture of both sides.